Hi there, everyone, and welcome to APTU. Today we are going to be discussing the consignment and additional entity features in AdvancePro. We will be taking any questions at the end, so if you have any questions, feel free to put them into the questions tab of your GoToWebinar panel if you're watching live. So the additional entity feature is essentially a way to put any extra addresses on any customer-facing document, meaning the quotation, sales order, pick, pack, and ship slips, or the invoice. And the additional entity can be named anything you like. These can be useful in all kinds of situations, from consignment to 3PL. And we'll also talk a little bit about multi-warehouse and how you might be able to use that multi-warehouse feature for managing any inventory on site for your consignment customers. So to configure the additional entity feature in AdvancePro, we're going to come up to our admin panel in the upper left. And what we're going to do is we are going to go into utilities and we're going to go to the additional entity tab. So if we head over to additional entity, it's on the third row. We're going to get this screen where we can enter entity 1, which by default is called broker, and in some places you will see it referred to as broker, and also entity 2, the consignee. So you can name these whatever you like. They'll still be referred to as broker and consignee throughout AdvancePro, but when you print out an order with entity 1 or entity 2 types on them, the header is what's controlled here. So we could call our broker something else. We could call it a 3PL client. We could call it shipped on behalf of. And we can go ahead and create those brokers, those entity type 1s in AdvancePro. And when we print it out, they'll be called whatever we put in this field. So let's say we're going to print that out on a customer order today. You can see you can also print it out. The customer order would be the quotation or the sales order. Now we could also print it out on the warehouse order. That's the pick, pack, or ship slip. And we could print it out on the invoice. Let's go ahead and save that. So now we can create these entities and we can associate them with our customers. So let's come to the Customers tab. Let's create a new broker. And we're going to call this ABC Corporation. So all that's actually required is the name, but you'll see that we can put in a whole address as well. Okay, so let's go ahead to the next one. Here we can put in the whole address. Let's say they live on 123 Easy Street. There we go. We'll go ahead and add that. Oh, and it requires a city. Okay, so let's go ahead and add that in. There we go. So now we have an address. You can save multiple addresses, and now we can assign them to a customer. So we're going to put that on a customer. There we go. Now it works the exact same way. If we use entity type 2, we would just create a consignee. Okay, so now let's go to a customer order, and we have to choose the customer that we assigned, and we'll go ahead and proceed. So now let's get an item on that order, and let's just come up to our addresses. We can edit the address, and we can choose to add a broker. There we go. Let's go ahead and save that, close, and now when we print off, we are going to get that broker as an extra block above, and if we used a consignee, it would be on the right. So that's how the additional entities work. We'll just go ahead and add in that broker or that consignee just above at the top of the order. So that's the general usage of the broker consignee, the additional entity functions. Let's now talk a little bit about multiple warehouses. And if you want multiple warehouses in detail, we do have a full video just on that feature. What I want to talk about today is if we come into manage inventory, how we can look at the inventory that we've got at our main warehouse where we have our operations, as well as the inventory that we have at some remote location. And we've named these warehouse 1 and warehouse 2, but this could be main warehouse, consignee warehouse as an example. So let's say we have consignee warehouse. We can do inventory transfers using this transfer button located at the bottom. We can use those inventory transfers. We can open up that multiple transfer, and we can actually go ahead and do a transfer into that secondary warehouse. So we could say from warehouse 1 to warehouse 2, we're going to do a transfer, and take a look at our warehouse transfers video to learn about what direct and indirect means. Essentially, direct is instant, and in transit means we're going to ship it and then someone else is going to receive it. So we're going to do a direct transfer. So we can move that product into our consignee warehouse without selling it necessarily, because it's not sold, it's still our asset. It's just at another location. Okay, so we're going to grab an item, we're going to throw it on this transfer order. So you'd go ahead and visit, you'd restock everything, and then you can use this. We're going to maintain a record of this transfer. So we've got 2 items in our main warehouse. We're going to go ahead and put one into our secondary warehouse, and we can transfer that out. So that's how that would work. If you are using picking locations, you would choose where you're getting the product from in one warehouse. If you're using picking locations in the other warehouse, you would choose where you're putting it. So this would allow you to say, hey, I'm pulling from shelf 1 in my warehouse, and we're heading over and we're putting it in display 5 in our customer's location. Say it's a retail setting. So that's a little bit about how you would transfer goods into that customer warehouse. So at the end of the day, you're going to come back from restocking all of your customer orders and restocking all of your customer sites and doing your vendor managed inventory. And now you have to say they sold a certain amount that we should invoice them for as a consignment order. So you would come back to your order. Now you're not necessarily going to ship in this case because it is a consignment order. So we're going to go ahead and proceed. And in this case, we get our item on there, and we'd be able to pull that from our transfer records. So we just go to Manage Inventory, and we can see a record of our transfers. So if we have any transfers that'll appear here, we'll be able to see that when Bob stopped by to restock a given company, ABC Corporation, there was some sold items there. So what we want to do now is we can come back in to our new order, knowing what we replaced, and you can use our inventory reorder levels to do that. I'll show you that in a second. For that warehouse, we can see what we were supposed to replace. Now we can invoice our consignor, our broker, to go ahead and invoice them for that particular product. So if we come into place customer order, we've got the items that we've sold. We can go ahead and save that. We can attach our broker account to it if we want. Or in this case, it would actually be a consignee. Okay. So then we could go ahead and add that and invoice it. Now what I want to show you is, because we're not necessarily shipping, we've already made our replacement delivery, we would choose invoice only. And what that's going to allow us to do is skip the regular shipping step that you would go through in AdvancePro. And instead, when we place the order, we're going to get a little prompt. And this customer can actually be set to always fill from a given warehouse. This is going to allow us to pull that stock from the warehouse where the sale was made. So that's one way that you can go about having stock at a client location, doing that vendor managed inventory for them, and going ahead, replacing that stock, and charging them a consignment fee. So as soon as we hit submit, when we get that prompt, by the way, it's actually going to remove that stock. Okay, so that's our stock out of our customer location. Now, how do we know what should be replaced? One way that we can do that is if we come to our products, on each product in each inventory. Let's go to View All Product. We can set a reorder level, essentially a minimum and a maximum for what should be in that warehouse. So let's come into the same item that we've been dealing with the entire presentation. We'll open that up, and we can come into additional info, and we would hit the reorder alert level. And for each item that this warehouse, for each warehouse that this item has been in, we can go ahead and set a reorder level, a minimum, as well as a target stock. So this allows us to say, for warehouse 1, our main warehouse, we want 300 units. For warehouse 2, we want to have at least 5 units on hand. And if we run below 5, replace it with 10. Okay? Or enough to get up to 10. So this can give us a really high level view just by running our product reorder alert level report. We're going to be able to see what's low. So this should actually show us some items that are low in any given warehouse. Okay, and it'll tell us which warehouse it's getting that alert from, so we know which warehouse we have to go stock up. And you can have as many warehouses as you like. So each warehouse could be a different customer location that's managed by a different corporate entity. All right. So this concludes today's little tour of consignment and additional entities and how multi-warehouse plays into that. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day.